But what sort of problems were the workers encountering? The ones who were working, what were the main physical
repetitive
problems?
strain injuries.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a major. I mean, it's been major injuries. I mean, we get 1,800 people working in our cargo plant, and they kill and cut 3,500 cattle a day.
Wow.
It's 40% of what's killed and cut in Canada.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, so that just for the person who's never worked in a meatpacking plant, tell me why workers were getting a repetitive strain injury. For somebody who's never seen a floor, okay?
Well, what they descaled it. Right? One time people used to rotate and do different jobs. Then the line gets so fast, so it's just repeat this, doing the same job, and it was just, you get tendonitis, you get repetitive strain injuries, carpal tunnel. Because once they descaled it, people were using weren't using different muscles.
Right.
It was just the same muscle, so it's just a question of body wearing out.
Yes, I get you. Yeah, so and were there any other kinds of injuries too?
Or back injuries and stuff like that, but I mean, the most is strain. Yeah, it became an epidemic.
Tell me how you lost. I still don't get the idea. How did they manage to screw us as far as master bargaining?
Because we had all these plants out, they scabbed us successful at Lakeside.
Okay.
Right? And they took major concessions there when they scabbed us, and they took a $3.50 an hour rollback. Then Parkington in '84 lined up the scabs in Edmonton, and I know I was stuck in Toronto for 23 days in negotiations with the rest of the country. And because of what happened there, and that's why it took 2 years to rebuild that local to take them on in '86.
Okay. So how did Pocklington do it in '84? Describe that a little more deeply.
We're
in '84.
Okay, you probably realize when the interest rates went through the roof and was running at 17%, right? And people crying for jobs.
Yeah.
He lined up, he hired in front of the pickle line. He had 1,000 people lined up to take the people's jobs.
Wow. And that happened in Edmonton?
In 1984.
Was it happening elsewhere too?
Yeah, in Red Deer. But they did that to us in '83 at Fletchers.
Yes.
And we took concessions. In '84 we were gearing up I made a mistake, 1985. Okay, and then we worked in cohesion with guys like John Ventura, Johnny Washoe, and the Edmonton people to coincide, because our collective agreements were 1 day apart. We were going to shut down the hog industry in Alberta and basically shut down the majority of the country. Because what happened was our rates of pay got so big, and the Quebec government gave subsidies to move factories to Quebec.
Here.
It took us 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
But we got everything we lost in '85. We got the whole thing back.
Okay, so you settled 2 weeks after you walked out.
Yes.
In other words, right in the middle of July there.
Yep.
Describe the way the picket line was set up here, because most people have never been on a picket line. What did you people do here to put pressure on the company?
Well, God, that's a loaded question, okay?
No, I know that. But for the uninitiated, for the uneducated?
Well, it depends if they're scabbing you or not.
Okay, and they were scabbing you?
Yeah. And then you have to put a lot more pressure on it. If they're not scabbing you, just want to shut down the plant, because we had a strike with them in '88 for 7.5 months, and they shut down the plant.
Right. But in this one, they didn't. They tried to keep the plant going.
Until we were going to shut down the rest of the operation, because there were only 2 eggs in the basket, and we were going to shut both of them down.
But I can remember from watching the videotape, the one that was done about the meatpacking situation in '86. You can't jail a strike. I can remember watching footage where various tactics were tried by you people. You tried the tactic of sitting down, right?
Yes, we had 110 people arrested one day, and what we did, all the RCMP from all Central Alberta showed up, because we stripped all the RCMP across Central Alberta because they couldn't deal with the number of people. We had 110 people arrested that day, and they didn't have the facilities in Red Deer to deal with it all. I know, I was in jail myself for 12 hours, and everybody else was too, and there was 40 to a cell, and people had to,
And you were in there for 12 hours.
yeah.
When they arrested you, what was the charge?
Then it was before they changed the labor laws, so it wasn't a criminal charge.
Yeah.
Now it is.
And so what was the charge?
It was just mischief. It's something that wasn't.
Trespassing, mischief,
It wasn't. It wasn't a criminal charge.
Right.
And what did we told? We set our people accordingly. Well, you have them in jail today. It's your turn tomorrow.
And so what did they do? They were the ones up front and center, right?
Oh yes. Actually, one of our guys, we told him, well, it's a good stop. The inspectors coming into the plant, right? And the inspectors were contacting us. They told us when they're coming. We told the guy he'd stop it, but we didn't realize he was going to have his foot going through the window of the thing, and the guy's camera from the Calgary Sun got his picture going through the inspector's window.
There's lots of that in picket lines. I've done it myself. And so it got pretty rowdy, didn't it?
Actually, it was refreshing.